Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Going Live with Global Learning. My name's Elizabeth O'Brien, and I'm the International Student Services Specialist here in Kirkwood. And today I'm going to be your host, so welcome. Today we have Camila with us, who is going to share her experience as a Kirkwood International student and what it's like growing up in different cultures. So thank you for being here, Camila.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Why don't you start out and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Okay, so I was born in Brazil, and I moved to Japan when I was 1 year old.
Okay.
And I am half Japanese because my mom's side family is Japanese. And I am Brazilian because I was born in Brazil. And my dad's side family, my dad is half Italian and half Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So I'm quarter Italian and Spanish.
You have lots of different cultures all coming together.
Yeah, and I lived in Japan until I was 18. And I moved to the States when I was 18 to study pre-med at the University of Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm here in Kirkwood studying culinary arts.
Oh, it's funny how life works out,
Yes,
right?
For sure.
What made you change your mind and go into culinary arts?
So my thought process was I started as pre-med because I was fascinated by the profession as a doctor. And I wanted to be a doctor since I was little. That was my dream. And I came to the States and I started studying the prereqs for pre-med, the science classes, the math classes and everything. And I took nutrition, and that kind of changed my brain. And not just medicine, but food has such a big impact on people's lives and health.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge part of your life. You can't survive without food.
Right.
And what you're eating really reflects on your health, which I thought was really interesting. But I was really I didn't really like the part that I had to do so many science classes that I was not even interested in just to get to that part. And I started searching about other professions inside the food industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that Kirkwood has a culinary arts program, and I love cooking and I love food. I love making food. Why couldn't I make this my profession?
Yeah.
And it's such a cool program because you have hands-on experience with professional chefs, and you learn about so many things, from the basic to very complex cooking, and even international cuisines, which I have a little bit experience because I am international myself. So I already have Brazilian, Italian, Spanish, and Japanese cuisine experience. So why wouldn't I do culinary arts? And I came here and now I'm loving it.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
And yeah, so having all those backgrounds and that familiarity, and then you bring in this interest in culinary arts, how do you think your interest in your background will overlap or connect? How do you think having all these different cultural nuances will impact your role as a chef?
First, I have the knowledge because I lived in Japan and I am Brazilian myself. I have the knowledge of the cuisine from the perspective of Japanese people or Brazilian people, which you will never get just learning from a chef that, I went to Brazil or I went to Japan to learn this cuisine. But you will never have the perspective of a person that lived in that country or was raised as that country's person their entire life. You'll never have that perspective. And me having that perspective, I feel like it's a blessing.
Definitely.
Because I have that knowledge and I can use it to make my food and just show people about my culture and what I feel like my culture represents, if that makes sense.
No, that does.
Yeah.
And that leads me straight into my next question. Have you started to blend those cuisines as you're cooking, or created new dishes or fusion cuisine between the different cultures?
Oh yes, definitely. My mom, she is like the person that I'm really inspired to, because she is Japanese. Like, her blood is fully Japanese, but she grew up in Brazil, so she has the input of both cuisines. Like, she at home, she was raised as a Japanese person because my grandpa and my grandma, they're both Japanese. But outside of her home, she is living in Brazil, which is a country that has great food. And but it's totally different from Japanese cuisine, because Japanese cuisine is all about the umami and having balanced meals. But Brazil, it's more like, let's have meat. Meat is good, and beans and rice. That's like the real food. And like, from the Brazilian perspective, Japanese cuisine, they would say that like it's not real food.
Oh.
Because they don't have the beans and the meat. Like, it's not enough for Brazilian people, which is funny. So my mom, since I was little, she would like blend both cultures. Like, she would make a Japanese dish, but like she would definitely season it more than a Japanese person would. Or she would add way more meat than a Japanese person would. Or she would make a Brazilian dish, but obviously, because we live back in Japan, you can, like, sometimes you can't find the right ingredients. So you have to, like, kind of shift it into the ingredients that you can find in Japan. So, like, the corn products, the corn in Brazil and the corn in Japan is really different. The corn in Brazil, it's not really sweet, but in Japan, the corn is so sweet. So sometimes you would make like a savory dish, like a corn savory dish from Brazil in Japan. It would taste like kind of sweet, and it would be like weird. So my mom would like actually make a dessert out of the actual savory dish. She will make it into a dessert. Like, she will actually use the sweetness of the corn and make it into a dessert, which always worked. I love my mom's food, like, which is really interesting. And, like, that really inspired me. And she is not even a chef. She's just a mom.
Yeah.
But, like, from, like, her experience in life, she learned that that's possible. So, for me, I feel like knowing all these other cuisines also, I would be able to do what my mom used to do at home, but like that would be my job. And like, that's so much fun, you know?
Oh yeah, that sounds like a blast. You tailor the different types of dishes based on the people who are eating them, but also the products you have. And I really, I like that she made this savory dish using sweet corn. It's like, nope, this is gonna work better. This is a dessert. This is what we have. That's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about what life was like growing up in Japan.
Life in Japan, it's definitely different from any other country's experience, I would say. Like, they really focus on education, especially science, and they say that they focus in English, but that's a little different story. Because, like, in Japan, English education is something that, like, is for... You would study English for the entrance exams for college, but not to, like, actually speak it or write it, which I feel like it's really interesting. But the science education I got in Japan was really great. Like, when I came here to the States and I started taking chemistry, biology, all these classes, one of the reasons that I didn't like it was because I had already learned it, like, in high school. Like, I already did that, like, or, like, in, like, junior high, I already did that. And, like, I'm just learning these things that I already know. And, like, there's no, like, interest in learning anymore because I'm, like, I already know this. I'm just relearning it in another language. And also, living in Japan as a foreigner, is really hard because I didn't have my Japanese citizenship until I was 17. And before I got my citizenship, I was just a Brazilian girl living in Japan, which is sometimes hard because I'm not gonna. I know I shouldn't generalize, but a lot of Japanese people, they are kind of racist, and they have like bad a bad image of Brazilian people because of the past. Like, Brazilian people are like known to be late to stuff. They're known to be lazy. And yeah, that image that like people created didn't really help me. And also I was like the only Brazilian in my school until I was like 8. So until I got to that point, for a lot of my friends, I was like the first foreigner they've like actually interacted in their lives. So like for them, it was really hard. And like, yeah, like I got bullied a few times, and yeah, which was hard, but I learned to like grow with it. And like, yeah, like just people making fun of me, and like, yeah, just not expecting what they would expect of a Japanese person. So like if I did something good, they would be like, oh, you did that, that's great, but you're Brazilian, but you did that, that's great. Which I was like really like angry at it sometimes, but yeah, I learned to grow with it. And yeah, but even though I got the Japanese citizenship, that didn't really change because I don't look Japanese for Japanese people. Like, I have like a few like Asian features, but like for them, like, you're not Japanese. So like the passport didn't define what I was, which was really hard because even for getting a job, it's really hard. And getting into good schools, like when I was in high school and I was like, I want to get into med school, some of the teachers were like, oh, you're trying to get into med school and you're a foreigner. You know? That's really hard because it's not like in the States that like when you're applying to a job, you can't put a picture of yourself because it's going to be biased. In Japan, you have to put a picture of yourself. Every single application you're going to do in Japan, you have to put a picture of yourself. So obviously there's a bias there. And like even from my name, like my name is not Japanese at all. So like there would be a bias there, obviously. And yeah, just having that bias is really hard. But like I learned to like grow, like even though people are not expecting things from me, like I learned to like do my part and like, yeah, just like keep studying. And I got into one of the best high schools when I was back in Japan. And yeah, when I was in school, I was like first in my class a few times. And yeah, that really changed people's minds, which was really interesting because like before I was like first in my class, like when I just got into the school and people were like, oh, you're like a foreigner. And it's really interesting because when I got into the school, a lot of like the new people that came into the school were like, oh, you're a foreigner. And they kind of started like trying to bully me. But actually the bully who was my bully in elementary school came in and he was like, no, she is actually a really good person and she's really smart, so you stop that. And yeah, he stopped that, which was really funny at the time
because like transformation.
Yeah, because like people saw what's inside of me, not like what it's outside of me. And yeah, that really change. I was really like glad to see that I got to like change people's perspectives, and also it changed my perspective. Like, yeah, because like it's not what's outside, like what people see, but like your inside that matters. What you're thinking, what you do is what matters, and not like the outside that should define you.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
And you touched on a really valuable point, right? Like, so much of the time our understanding of other cultures, different countries, different groups is based on what we hear or media or movies or something. But the value lies in meeting someone and building that relationship and what we would call people to people diplomacy, right? Like, our role as individuals as we travel throughout the world, like, we get to bring our culture and our traditions to a new place and showcase that it's more than the movie you saw last week or what your best friend told you a few weeks ago. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yes.
That's a good perspective. So you grew up in Japan and then you moved to the United States. What was something different or unique that that surprised you about living in the United States?
Probably this would be like what I was surprised in Iowa. But I grew up like hearing that like American people are not nice. Like, it's probably like, yeah, because my parents worked in New York like for like a few months, and like, yeah, they were like interacting with New Yorkers, which probably didn't help a little bit. But like, I grew up like people saying, oh, Americans are not nice, so like you need to be careful. And yeah, I got here and like the Iowa nice, I got to experience the Iowa nice. Like, I got here and like, yeah, the first week was so rough because I came with my parents. My parents helped me move to the university, and yeah, my parents left, and I was like, I didn't know what to do because I was with my parents for 18 years.
Right.
And I'm an only child. Like, I was like I was a baby for them. Like, I was their baby, and I was being babied my entire life. And now I need to live alone in a dorm, like in a whole different country. And like, I can only call my parents when they're not at work. So like, I only have like a 4-hour block that I can call them. So I'm like, what am I even supposed to do here? Yeah. And I was like, why did I even come here? And then I started going out and like, yeah, just meeting people and meeting new people. And I met all these amazing people, and they're like all willing to help you, and like they're really interested in what you want to talk about and like what you have to talk about and like about your life. Like, that was just amazing. And like, yeah, those people that like I met a few weeks into the United States are like now my best friends.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I was really happy and really glad to know that part of the United States. And I just love Iowa in general. Yes.
Yes, the Midwest nice is something I think that shines throughout our regional culture. And yeah, I always find it fascinating to your point there is that even within the country, you have so many subcultures that differ and make the coast what they are. The South is slightly different than the Midwest, and it's fascinating.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Camila. It was great to talk with you and learn a little bit more about your background. And I can't wait to try some of these new dishes you're going to create and wow us with. And thank you to all of you who joined us on this episode with Global Learning. Don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone, push past some of those boundaries, and get to know somebody. Tune in next week for another episode.